Hello and welcome to the Best on the Rock podcast. My name is Melissa Best, and today I am here with my soul sister, Donna Hartt. Donna, how you doing?
I'm great. It's good to see you. How's things?
Oh my God, things are moving along. It's been a bit, I think we were just talking a little bit before we started recording. The last couple of weeks have just been like my daughter got sick, so she had, and I mean, I'm not one to normally start everything off with like all the woe is me. But the universe has just kind of been kicking me in the ass lately. So she was sick for 8 days straight with a fever. So
Oh,
that's such a
poor
long time.
thing.
Everything was fine. It was viral. But it was just like I had to take that time off work. You know how it is. I mean, she's 5, going on
Mhm.
5, she's 4.5. I know how old my kid is for the record. I've been saying 5 because she's turning 5 very soon.
Yeah.
But yeah, so it was just very like that itself was draining. It was so exhausting mentally and physically. And then when she got better, we got hit with like 2 snowstorm like a 2.5 day snowstorm, that brought over 50 centimeters of snow, and then there was, like, one day where that cleared up where I was feeling, like, all kinds of anxiety, but she was able to go to school that day, so I sent her to school, and I, like, started clearing out the snow, and then we got hit with another 30 centimeters yesterday. So it's just been, like, I know that doesn't sound like a lot, I mean, there's way worse things going on in the world, but it's just for me, I've just been feeling this overwhelming sense of anxiety. And I'm not a
Mhm.
very, very anxious person a whole lot, but yeah, I've just been getting like this overwhelming sense of anxiety. So today actually was a really, really good day. So I was feeling all of that right up until like even this morning, trouble getting out of bed, just the same stuff that
Yeah.
happens when I get anxious. Like I don't want to get up in the morning. I'm very like paralyzed almost. I call it my paralysis, like my analysis paralysis, where I've
Mm.
got so much on my list to get done, especially for the last 3 weeks, because I feel like I put a lot of things off. So I have so much on my list to get done that I'm so overwhelmed, I don't know where to start. And then I do nothing. So that's what the last couple of days have been like. So then today, my morning was kind of like that. And what I did, because this same thing helped me come out of a big funk last year. Last year, I was
Mhm.
in a real funk. Well, it was like a postpartum funk. So I had been in it for a while. And last year, I just sat down and I went, okay, what don't I like about my life right now? And I wrote like the longest journal entry of what I didn't enjoy. And then I looked at it all and thought, okay, what can I change about these things that I don't enjoy? And I made a list and then I just moved forward. So today I didn't do the journal entry because I knew what I was feeling and I didn't feel like I needed to write it out. I just sat down and wrote, okay, for the next 28 days, I gave myself a mini challenge. So, like, you've heard of the
Love that.
75-day hard. I was like, I'm not going to do the 75-day hard because I know I won't do it. That's not going to inspire me to do anything. I'm not there. So I gave myself a mini Melissa challenge, and it's the 28-day hard with 6 things that I feel like I want to accomplish each day. They're not difficult tasks, but in the moment with the lifestyle I currently have, they've been hard for me to accomplish. So I wrote out this list. And I swear to God, it was like I just took my anxiety and I threw it away. Just from writing this out, I put it on my board. I've got like this moving forward. This is what I want to do every day. And so far, so good. It's been, 8 hours, but so far, so good. I'm feeling better.
That's awesome because you notice how I and this thing. Thank you for sharing that because um, the times have been really testy these days. And you asked me how I was doing. I answered great, and really, it's been quite a firestorm for the last 3 weeks. I'm just kind of starting to come out of it now,
Mm-hmm.
and it's a space where there are things we can control that lead to our energy becoming peaceful. To despite the going on around us,
Mm-hmm.
focus in and become present to the things that are most important in that moment,
Mm-hmm.
if
It's
that
it
makes sense.
it makes such a difference. It does make
Yeah.
sense because
Yeah.
that's been the key to my personal development is
Mm.
not letting, because it's so easy to let our environment control us and control our emotions. And emotions, they're emotions. You feel them. You're gonna feel them, right? We know that. We know that.
I cry at plastic commercials. Yeah, we know this.
Yeah,
We
same,
know this.
same. We get it. So like, it's so easy to let things trigger us and let our emotions just like come out. But I feel like when I stop for a minute and I concentrate on the things that I can control and focus on that, because like I can't control 50 odd centimeters of snow or 30, or what I can
Mhm.
control is taking my daughter out in her snowsuit and letting her slide down like the snowbank while I shovel. You know what I mean? Like giving her the
Yeah.
push brush and letting her take the snow off the car, and she's she's
Mhm.
3 feet tall and she's just can't reach it, but she's having the time of her life. Things like that are things that I can control. Getting up earlier, not letting myself sleep in and give in to this I don't want to get out of bed mentality. That's something I can control. Writing in my gratitude journal, I did that for the first time today since Quebec, actually. So
Ah,
I guess I should
okay.
preface, anybody who's listening, if you don't know who Donna is, fuck off, first of all. Go back.
No, that's all right.
Go back and watch
I'm not gonna
Traitors
touch
Canada. I'm like, anybody
it.
who listens to me, if you haven't seen Traitors Canada, just go do it now or unfollow me. Don't actually do that. I really appreciate the subscribers and followers.
I don't unfollow her. She's
Um,
a delight. She's so much
yes, please continue to
fun. So
follow, but not physically.
yeah.
But so Donna and I were on a show called The Traitors Canada, and it was filmed in Quebec. So when we went there, we were allowed to have, pen and paper. A lot of people don't realize this, but we were allowed to have this in our own, our own little rooms,
Yeah.
in the manor. So I had my gratitude journal with me, and for the 3 days that I was there, all three of them. But I would get up every morning and I would write what I was excited about for the day. It's an actual like a prompt gratitude journal where it's like, what is your focus today? What are you grateful for? A mantra or whatever to take you through that kind of thing. So I would write all these things down, and then in the evening I would go back and write out right before I went to bed. Even though I was a trader and I was going to bed much later than everybody else, I would get back into the
Yeah.
room, and that was how I would decompress before I went to bed. So like I had that in Quebec, and I did write, I think the end of August, I took it out for one day and like wrote down my gratitude stuff, and I must have just put it away because I hadn't been focusing on it since the show, but I was really focusing on it a lot before the show. So
Hmm.
today I opened it up, and I didn't realize that it had been that long. I thought I had been writing in it since. And I opened it up and I read. It's so funny that it happened on the day that I'm talking to you, because I read the things that I was grateful for at the manor, and it kind of took me right back, like right back there. And then I was reading it going, well, if you weren't so concerned with your fucking gratitude journal, maybe it would have lasted longer. Maybe you should have been taking notes about what was going on, not about how you were feeling. Um, but hindsight. But it was kind of, that was right after I wrote out my list too. And I think
Hmm.
that just kind of, it took me out of the shit storm that is like winter and the sad, like the seasonal affective
Hmm.
disorder, whatever it is,
Hmm.
depression. It took me out of that and into a, hey, you got like 4 more weeks, 6 tops of this snow shitstorm, early
Yeah.
nights, whatever.
Yeah.
Spring will come, the flowers will come back, everything will get better, the sun comes back around. And, reading that, it took me back as up and down as Traders was. It was the experience of a lifetime. And when I was reading how I was feeling there wasn't any bad entries. They were all like just grateful entries. So
Love.
I thought that was nice. I think it was good timing.
Yeah. Yeah. And like I really appreciate people that, you know, really I run under the belief of the only prayer we need at night is thank you.
Uh-huh.
And so there's this space where this attitude of gratitude is really important. And the dichotomy of that is you are walking through some really challenging things and trying to not minimize the experience, but remind yourself that this is a momentary time and space. And the gratitude pulls you back to that present of, oh, yeah, this is temporary. Oh, yeah. And it doesn't mean we have to be careful not to dismiss how we're feeling in that moment, because, you know, I always tell people the famous Jim Carrey saying that when he was feeling depressed, it was a sign of a deep rest needed.
Mhm.
That winter
Absolutely.
is our dying phase and phasing phase. And there are other reminders. I mean, you don't want to look in my diary from traders, but actually, maybe people would.
I
But
really, really want to, actually. We will get to it. For anybody wondering, we are going to have a conversation about the show. I would love to read that diary.
Mm, and yeah, fun high school. Anyways, yeah. So there's this space where it's exactly that. And listen, as someone who works in the field of energy and helping people through moments and times of space, there's also a quiet time that deserves to be honored in the world of spiritual practice. We expand so hard in our space of gratitude or through these really big spaces. We have to remember that we're going to get a quiet time where we recapitulate, reassimilate all of that stuff and just be with like I had this really big year last year. And
Mhm.
and what I'm realizing is it's time to just stop and reflect back and let it all sink in and redesign what the universe has working through me right now.
Mhm.
And so there's this space where I love hearing this from you that there's a gratitude because even with space of like I have an attitude and gratitude. I have an attitude gratitude book and it's whatever attitude I might be feeling in the moment, reading back wherever I can see the correction of what might have been triggered in that moment, and then what I was grateful for after that space.
That's a good way to do it. I like that.
Because it's just it's really important practice in life. We're a frequency, we're energy,
Mhm.
and that's like I didn't care whether you were, I didn't know until the circle of truth, but like there's an energy thing that goes on with people. And it's really neat when you can connect that way. And the more people that get into this engaging energy, the more we're going to shift this planet. I'm sorry to get into a big diatribe, but it's like you're right in the crux of what so many people are feeling right now. And
Mhm.
it's important to remember that you can be a work of art and a hot mess express at the same time. And it's just being able to be with whatever you're experiencing in the moment and allow it to move through you. So if you're gratitude, great. If you're stinky, well,
Mhm. Oh, absolutely. And I think like even last week, because we were supposed to record this last week, I actually had two recordings set up for last week because with all that was going on, I had to move a bunch of stuff around. And it just got to the point where last week then I had viewings with real estate come up. And so I think I wrote you twice, once or twice. And my other recording that was there as well, I wrote him and I was like, I'm gonna need to touch base with you guys next
yeah,
week. And it was like I didn't like it. And then Friday came around and I didn't have a new episode of my podcast. But at the same time, that felt okay because I needed that rest. So I was kind of down, like I don't know if spiritually or energetically.
just you're in
I
this
was
space.
I was low. And I think I just needed that time to just chill the fuck out, just settle down, let the last couple of weeks and the heaviness be heavy. And like, now today, I feel like I've kind of cut through it and I'm feeling that energy kind of coming back. And like you said, sometimes you just need a little bit of a rest to
Yeah,
let yourself
yeah.
center and recharge and just get back up again?
Yeah, yeah. I bawled myself to sleep night and day last Thursday for an experience going on that, I can't see everything coming, but it's like you just let it just pour out of you, whatever venom, whatever thing you're feeling, whatever it's triggered, whatever it's needing. Like I always teach these as these teachable moments where you're learning about your something's moment because it's easy to be happy, but when you're in that space, there is so much growth and expansion that occurs and I'm glad you listen to yourself because we don't, because we're wanting to be in a hurry and getting these things done. And we hold ourselves to these ridiculous standards in life. And it's like, whoa, the world is not going to stop and no one's going to die if I actually make a change in my schedule.
And especially now, I find with the intensity of social media,
Mm-hmm.
we as a society are drawn to, I mean, it's an addiction, like it's fully addictive. There have been studies on top of studies on top of studies, right? So it is an addiction. So we're
Yeah.
constantly like, being taught how to constantly be on our phones. And then when you're on your phone, what are you doing is you're scrolling through everybody's like highlight reel. So we're looking at all these happy moments of everybody. You're not looking at when they're down in the dumps. You're looking at their highlight reel and then we compare, which is something that I really, really try to not do because I've done it in the past where I'm looking at things
Mm-hmm.
and that really will bring you down when you're comparing. But I feel like, we're in this age of social media where like what I was finding for myself, I'm not comparing anymore, but I'm holding myself to a certain standard where I want to hit certain goals on social media. So I am
Mm,
posting so many times a day. I'm doing certain things like posting different
yeah.
workouts or whatever.
Yeah.
And I find that when I was in that low, I don't want to pull the phone out and do these things. And that was a mental struggle for me because I was like, it's okay not to. It's actually like, please stop. You know what I mean?
Mm,
There's a lot of people
mm-hmm,
probably watching this now and they're like, no, we appreciated a break from you. You're a lot. You know what I mean? Like it's one of those things that, but because like up here, you've got your mind wired a certain way, you don't want to be taking
mm-hmm.
those breaks. You know, I didn't want to cancel on you. I wanted a new podcast episode to come out. I didn't want, to try and move around my viewings because snow was coming and I had my daughter and all. Like I want to just put my foot on the gas and go, 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 go. And
Yeah,
sometimes it's hard as somebody who's wired that way to allow themselves to just stop,
yeah,
So, but yeah,
yeah,
I'm happy I did it.
yeah.
Starting to feel back at it again.
Yeah, it's expand, contract. And so giving yourself that permission. It's like me, you'll notice these days I'm not a lot on social media and I'm just
Mhm.
posting some delightful things that are helping me meditate through the energetic space. So it's like I'm in it too. And
I'm
right, like,
loving
hey,
your
let's
TikToks the most.
thank you.
I
Thank
love
you.
them.
Thank you. We have a good time now.
Yeah.
And so there's this space where it's like we have to remember until we have shifted the way this planet is designed to be shifting, we're going to be in this space because as much as we engage in these things are also helping us unlearn. Like I grew up in a society where we had a landline, and
Hmm.
probably back in about 2013, probably 4 or 5 years after most people are getting phones, I said to my husband, I don't want one. This is going to be
Hmm.
the death of me. And it's the space of, okay, social media is great. I love to get laughs. If I need a puppy feed for that serotonin dopamine boost, we go do the
Yeah.
things. And then it's just like, I don't want the rest of it because it's in-house fighting and it's absolutely ridiculous and I want no part of it. So it's like,
Hmm.
we what wolf do we want to feed? And then in that moment also, where do we require rest because we've been in such a big energetic space? And that you gave yourself permission, like we all deserve to give ourselves permission. That's really important because,
Hmm.
again, no one's going to die, nothing's going to stop. The people that are meant to be with you and walk with you on any of these journeys out here, they're going to stay with you through. I have people that have been following me for 10 years, watched me go like this in my career, and they've always been there. I'm not attached to that. I didn't do the show for fame. I only did it for glory. And, there's a space where it's like, you know, we, when you fall through this thing that you're going through now, people will soon learn that fame is an illusion. And,
Hmm.
and that we want to be people. This is why I love what you're doing with your podcast, because this might be what I do, but you have no idea who I am.
Exactly.
And so it's really cool that this be brought up because, when you're brought into a show like Traitors, there's a target audience or a target character or a target thing they're looking for.
Hmm.
They don't want Donna, who's been outside of the psychic medium world. They want the psychic medium on the show.
You were the psychic. Might I just add, on the show, you are still hold the reins for the most successful psychic on all of the series.
Oh, thanks.
All of the English speaking series that we know of. Because majority
Yeah.
of them are gone, like first couple of episodes. You made it to finale, which
Mm-hmm.
is, I think you're the only one. I thought actually, because I did a podcast about the UK series with
With
Chili Philly.
Tracy. Yeah.
Yes, I thought that Tracy, I actually said to Phil on that podcast, I was like, you know what? Tracy might be coming to give Donna a run for her money. And I really was
I
like,
was hoping.
I yeah, I was like, I think she's gonna get far. And like episode 4 or 5 or something, it was like, no, oh,
Mm-hmm.
spoiler,
Mm-hmm.
the worst for spoiler.
Oops, finally, there it is. Sorry about
Well,
that.
sorry, folks.
Must have some vodka.
Unsubscribe. But
Yeah.
yeah, so like it's one of those things that I was like, maybe Donna's not gonna be the most successful, but I was like, no, her reign lives on. Long live Queen Donna.
Well, thanks. And like I'm gonna own this. I don't talk a lot about sort of the after stuff of the show, and people are like, how did you get that far? What did you do? Blah 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 blah. And like, well, you know, there's been some flack over, well, you didn't own it right to begin with. What in getting to know me, what people aren't aware of is that I'm a really big game player.
Hmm.
So there was two reasons for me going into the arena. One was to test myself and see what my abilities could be capable of. And let me tell you, on episode 3, when I clocked Mike and Kuzi inadvertently, that space is like was working. But there's a part of me that knew that I could only share. I mean, Christ, I told you, and you were a traitor. You took it to the grave. Thank you
So
very much. You could have.
you know what's really funny about that? So a lot of people, oh my God, the amount of podcasts and forums that I have read where people are like, how do they not like they know she's a psychic? How come they're not getting her out or all this stuff? You didn't tell anybody. So when we got there, Donna was Donna the grief counselor. Now here's where my brain went. So I get to Traitors and I'm a fan of these psychological manipulation game shows. I'm obsessed with them, right? So I get there and for some reason the thought of anybody lying about their profession wasn't even in the realm of possibility for me. Like I just met all these people and I think maybe it's because there was a mix of celebrity versus I guess normies, whatever we are, civilians. But because there was like this mix, I think when we got there, the thought of, oh, who else is going to be on this show kind of took over. And then I forgot about the lie detecting and the actual like trying to read people and like all that just kind of went out the window because the game started and it was kind of a different game. So yeah, when we met, you were a grief counselor. And we've seen on episode 1 you go through it. You are put through the ringer. And I remember being like, oh, I mean, maybe she's just a really emotional grief counselor. Like, I remember thinking, like, I mean,
Yeah,
maybe she feels it
yeah.
hard. Like, but then I'm also thinking, I don't know if that would work if I was in a state of grief and my grief counselor's crying along with me that hard. I was like, I don't know. Because we connected right off the bat.
Mm-hmm.
It
Mm-hmm.
wasn't until like a couple of days in I think it was like maybe day 2 or something, and you had said to me that you were psychic. I think it was me, you, was it Dom?
Yeah.
That was the third
Done.
person. So 3 of us were sat down. You guys were my like you were the people that I vibed the most with. Trevon was also there, like who
Yeah.
I connected really well with. Like I feel like I connect with everybody, but like
You're
when
the
I
rock.
think back about it, you guys were my natural drawn to people, right? Like we
Mm-hmm.
were
Mm-hmm.
the I
Mm-hmm.
don't know how to explain us, but like the energies really
Yep.
connected really well.
Yep.
And when you had said it to me and Dom, I remember being like, okay, that's great. And in my head, I'm thinking, she doesn't know. Like, not that you weren't psychic, but I
Yeah.
was like,
Yeah. Yeah.
she has
Yeah. Yeah.
no, she doesn't know. Like, I could tell that you
Yes.
didn't know. And
Yeah.
I remember, I think you said something to me about it. And I was like, about like not reading well or something like that. And I think I had said to you, I don't, I think it probably reinforced it for you that I wasn't. Cause I was like, well, listen, Donna, I was like, you're here you're not reading energy because you're in this game and there's going to be all these like obstacles within what you would normally do. Do you know what I mean? Like,
Mm-hmm.
I think we had that
Yes.
conversation and I remember leaving that conversation being like, okay, she doesn't know, but it was something that I had in the
It's a
back of my
dangerous
mind for
spot.
like that hour. But then
Yeah.
after that, I knew you were a psychic, but the thought of using that in the game, which I still regret, I should have used it. But no, but the thought of using that, it didn't come up because that didn't feel game level. That like when we were
Yeah.
talking,
Yeah.
like the 3 of us just had
Right.
that personal connection. Like it just
Yeah.
there were a lot of the time in the manner that game and personal really did just blur, you
Yeah.
know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I remember us having the conversation because what was frustrating for me was so like, if feel like if there was any sort of mini regret, and I'm sorry to the grief counselors out there, but it was a clever way to use my helping people through their grief space as a medium. I should have been
Mhm.
a death doula. Then people would be like, oh, yeah, she's around death. So I understand she's so bonkers all the time, just getting all this
Right?
stuff out of the system. Right. I mean, I know, like, it's hoping with the grief counseling, maybe people see that. It's like, okay, well, maybe she's just getting out of her system. Because, I mean, we look at our Miss Carolyn Rose from Survivor, and she is the most delightful, outstanding, big personality who's a counselor,
Mhm.
right? And
Yeah.
so there's this space where, and funny, so I actually told you, I told Dom, and I told Trevon because I wanted Trevon to understand that I wasn't going to take his lie as anything personal in the game because I understood why I was doing it because I was doing the same. And
Right.
and so there's this space where I needed a safe harbor to kind of trial. I wanted to go in to see what I could do
Mhm.
from a psychic medium standpoint. And then after the few years that I've had on a physical level, I was like, let's see if we can do this
Mhm.
physically. And so there's this space where you watch on the one episode where I say Mike and Kuzi, and I name two of them, and it's just like, but. And the thing that gets in the road of all of this is the gaslighting. And then when the personal does get enmeshed with the game level, right? Because
Mhm.
game is game and personal is personal, but you're having to try and bond with people to try and get an end game going, right? So it's this
The
dance of,
strategy too.
yeah,
Mhm.
yeah. And I walked away from the game going, gosh, if someone drops out and you need someone to go back in, I get the game now. You can do all of the gaming and play all of the games you want in the world, but I think anytime you step into a new arena, you
Mhm.
are learning all over again for some things within the game.
100%. I thought the same thing. I'm still there. I'm like, "Oh, fuck, call me back. Jeez." Like, because it's just like you leave and you're like, the things I would have done, the things I could have done, and
Yeah,
I've got friends who've done like Big Brother and haven't won. And they've told me, they're like, you will replay all the things that you could have done for years. Like, this is not
yeah,
something that, because it's
yeah,
always hindsight, but at the same
yeah,
time, like you really don't know unless you do get that second chance, but
yeah,
I
yeah,
don't know. What a
yeah,
fun
yeah.
time.
Well, and it's everything in retrospect and use it as a learning tool. Like for me, I really you when you're in it, imagine being someone extremely sensitive, extremely open to the MDs, trying to do the things, getting to the radar, and then you've got all these big personalities, all this stuff going on, and it's just like,
Mhm.
what have I
Yep.
got myself into? And I had you see me excel at the physical challenges. That's where I knew I was going to shine. The rest, I wasn't so sure. And unfortunately, the moment that Dom left was the chance at winning the game.
Yeah.
And so when I made like so this we're allowed to put things into context post show.
Mhm.
I was in somewhere around episode 2 in one of the confessionals. They're like, "So who do you think's going to win the game? If you're a second meeting, as I can't tell you who's going to win the game, but I know where I'm going to be." And they're like, "You do? How do you know where you're
Mhm.
going to be?" I said, "'Cause I just know it."
Yeah.
I said, "I'm
You
going to
can
go as
just
far
feel
as the
it.
game goes, and I'm not going to get the money, but I know I'm going to be at the end. I know I'm going to make it as far as one can go in the fire thing." They're like, "Really?" And I'm like, "Yeah." And so then I did. It's like, oh, we didn't show these things, but I'm playing a hiding game, so we're not going to talk about those things. And there it
Yeah.
is.
Yeah.
And that's fine. But like, it's very, very fascinating to see how the show actually changed me and propelled me in what I'm capable of doing now.
So how do you find that? How do you feel like it did change you?
So I had a little hidden. So we always grow and learn. We've always got trauma spots. We've always got responses to life. And I had my high school button super duperly triggered almost off the hop.
Mhm.
And so what people were seeing me struggle with that we didn't talk about on the show was the other part of Donna coming into the show, the person out there that's had these things go on. And so you get clocked hard. It kind of taints the rest of the house view of you. And what you do is you use these as teachable moments. Okay, so you're not going to be the most popular person in the house. You're the first person crying. Everybody's wondering why the fuck you're crying. Nope, that's too weird for us. We're gonna put you over here because that's too much.
So when you say high school, do you mean like the cliques? How
Yeah,
like
so I
everybody kind of got together and it got clicky pretty fast.
instantly went reality TV, slay the newbies.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Instant.
Yep.
And if you weren't part of the cool kids club, then it was, unless you were a traitor in the hiding and amidst all of that, you were automatically not part of the cool kids club. And listen, we all have a game to play. There's nothing personal about that, right? This is just
Mm-hmm.
a game. Of course, these things are gonna happen. I saw that the minute we walked on. I'm like, that's it. There's the writing. It's team red, team blue, team TV versus not TV. And
Yeah.
so um that was like, dang it, how are we gonna get together, do all these things? I've got to get the normies getting us all together, and then if normies don't like you, or are being triggered by you, then it sets off another storm. And so it's a space where you see it switch. When I wear my Punky Brewster rainbow sweater, everything has changed in the game for me. My hardest thing, my messiest thing, is now back to center in how I do things on this planet, and nobody's going to tell me who I need to be for their comfort
Hmm.
at all. Period. This is
Good.
who I am. You don't like it, I'm going this way. Cool beans. You want to play, great. You don't, whatever. And so I kept going and going and going, and slowly started, you know, doing my own little tactical moves in there with some other people that weren't, we were doing things on the slide. And so it's the hardest moments for me were the greatest teachers. And so it rested in me because I let my power go away as such a young girl for a very,
Hmm.
very long time. It came back to bite in there. And I'm like, no one takes my power away. This is just a game. This has gone personal. This is not an ish me. This is an issue. And I'm going to be over there having a really great time. And I don't care if you think I'm bonkers.
Yeah, absolutely. But I think your bonkersness is 100% why I was drawn to you because it's so funny because I always, even in high school, I want to be part of the cold brigade, but I'm drawn to the weirdos because I'm a weirdo. You know what I mean? I always try to like
Totally.
intercept the big posse, and I was trying
Yeah.
that really hard in this game. To the point that like a lot of
Yeah.
the big posse, I was like, okay, we're friends. We got this mission, we got this deal or whatever. And it was like, nah, it was fake. Whereas like you and I connected naturally immediately, right? Like we just like right off the hop. It's just really funny because like and I don't know if that's just my personality. Back in school, my report cards, they used to say like she's the social butterfly. Like I can fly from
Yeah.
group to group and feel comfortable for the most part
Mhm.
in any group, but my
Mhm.
heart belongs to the weirdos. You know what
Sister,
I'm
we
saying?
all
Like,
absolutely do. It's a
yeah,
superpower on this planet. It's a superpower because we're the most inclusive community you will ever find.
it's true.
The only time you get excluded is when you want to be a dick.
Mm,
So figure out, right?
yeah.
So there's this space where it's like we're the most inclusive. We try and be the most helpful. We try and be the most kindest. We try and be the most loving. Piss us off and push us
Mhm.
past that point, you're not going to want to be friends with me anymore after that because I will chew right through you as a Gen Xer and
But I
the
feel
sword.
like I feel like that's also why I'm just gonna quote, and I don't mean any offense when I say weirdos.
No,
I really fully mean
no,
like
I love
us.
it.
Like I fully
It's a
mean like
superpower.
I just mean people who, dance to the beat of their own drum, right? But I
Yes,
feel like it's really easy to get excluded from like a lot of these popular groups and things like that as the quote unquote weirdo or different person
yes,
because we're the type of people who can be a little bit too much, right? Like we've talked about this. We had that big whole thing at the manor. I don't think they showed it, but like somebody said too much at the table, and then I'm triggered. I'm
hmm,
like, hey, she's not. They called you too much. Like, hey, she's not too
yeah,
much. And then like, I think Mel A
yeah.
stood up and was like, thank you for saying that because like I don't like when people say that too, because it was like, when you really are like out there and dancing to the beat of your own drum or marching to the beat of your own drum, you come across as a lot, right? Like we come across as a lot sometimes. And that's kind of, I feel like whenever it comes to like a popular crowd, why we don't always feel like we fit in, because a lot of the times the popular crowd will
They're
listen more
hive
and
minded.
say less. Whereas we're like,
Yeah,
so
yeah,
I don't know.
yeah.
I think that's why we got drawn to each other on the show.
We know where we're, and this is, listen, it's not that it doesn't happen. It's not, this is nothing. It's just like we understand one another. If
Hmm.
anybody gets anybody, it's this energy. when
Absolutely.
you're when you're over in the other energy, it's hard to comprehend because that's how you're created, and that's
Hmm.
okay. I'm the one, this is the type of past that Donna's had, being at a hockey tournament, big party on the Saturday night, live band, guitar player comes over to the table and he's playing his guitar up above me, and I look at my friend, I go, are you gonna put up with this shit? She's like, no. She says, are you? And I'm like, no. And I get up on the table and I start dancing with him, and I'm sober. Like, that's
Hmm.
just, I am a carpe diem person,
Hmm.
period.
Yeah.
Life is too short for someone like me. I've been through too much. And if you think I'm going to stop and not suck it all in before it's my time to go, guess again.
So let's go through some of that because I remember on the show, I remember the day that you did that you were upset and they couldn't because that speech that you gave to us because I was in the group of people that you came over to talk to. That speech that you gave to us was a lot longer and you did share a little bit about your background and why you do have a carpe diem attitude. Did you want to talk about that? Like your
I mean, I'm happy to go down that road because there's a part that people, yeah, I mean, thank you for giving me the opportunity,
Absolutely.
right?
We can touch on
So
whatever you want to touch on today. Like
yeah,
this is your
yeah,
story today.
yeah. Well, first and foremost, what people don't know over and above what I do for a living, I'm a stage 4 endometriosis patient.
Mhm.
Not only that, I was born a sick kid, and at the age of 12, I was diagnosed with something called genetic lymphedema. So you'll never see me wearing pretty shoes because my fat feet can't fit into them. They look like pregnancy feet all the time. They're my people weeders. You don't like my feet, you can fuck off.
I didn't know that about you. That part I
Yeah,
didn't know.
yeah,
No.
yeah. And the other part is I was born with one kidney. We discovered that at 12 along with that.
Mhm.
And so I'm this, when imagine being 12 years old and you have been at BC Children's Hospital for a week and you've counted 52 interns, 12 doctors, and 7 exams to figure out what was going on with your body. And in that discovery, we learned that I have one kidney and one kidney owned, and it's been that way since birth.
Wild.
Yeah, and functions like two. People live very long lives. The kicker is imagine being 12 years old and it dawning on you that if you got stabbed in if my mom or dad got stabbed in the kidney, they'd still have one kidney to go. If I get stabbed in the kidney, I'm
That's it.
out.
Hmm.
You can't get to me in time to save my life.
Yeah.
I mean in today's you could
Yeah,
for
but like,
sure.
well, you're also not 25. Would you like to
Yeah,
disclose how old you are? Because
yeah,
I'm still in
yeah.
shock over it, but
So I am level 54. I just turned
Mhm.
54 in December.
Wild.
And so yeah, and it's just my pissy attitude and gung ho that just I'm a kid. I really am a kid at heart, and I think that's part of this. Gen X has this magical little like no fillers, no not like I don't know.
Yeah.
But thank you for that. I appreciate it. Something had to go right, so I might as well look 10 years younger with the body falling apart on
Ex
the inside.
exactly. You're like up here, I'm 80, but I look in my 30s.
Guys, we might as well do party,
Yeah.
So you know so there's that attitude has been for a very long time where it's like I'm going to do all the things in case something happens. It's almost like a PTSD, let's go live life because I don't know, and then you pull yourself out of that space. But in 2019 I had life-saving surgery because endometriosis had encased my only ureter and had been on my bladder, bowel, deep pelvic. My ovaries were dragged in behind my peritoneum. I had 4 hour life-saving surgery. Another six
Wow.
months I would have been in renal failure and dead. And a year and a half prior to that, I had taken 9 inches of an inguinal nerve taken out of my waistline, which required 3 different muscle layers, 28 sutures in 3 different layers. It took me 6 months to drive. And
Wow.
so, like, that's 2018. Then 2019 comes this, and then 2020, the pandemic hits. I'm immunocompromised. I'm going to die if I go out there, and I go into lockdown for a year.
Oh my God. That takes its toll mentally.
So 18, 19, 20. 21 comes along and I start getting a little bit of traction and I get Omicron and I'm down fighting for my life for 3 weeks.
Yeah.
22 comes along and I suffer a concussion in an automobile accident. I had to learn
Wow.
to walk again. I had to learn to talk again. I still have things a year and a half later that are still, you'll see me stutter over words or search to find words. And so, one of the problems I had in the house, because I wanted to test what I was capable of doing, is when a whole bunch of things come at me at once, my brain now shits the bed and I can't regulate. And I'm like,
Right.
fun. And
Mm-hmm.
so for me, I had so much to prove over and above being a psychic medium going into this show that
Mm-hmm.
I wanted people to understand. This is why I was fighting and crying on that first day, because I fought hard to get there. And just when I'm going to get there, I'm going to go home. And I already thought I was going home at the airport, which was a really funny story, by the way.
What's
And,
at
and
the
so I'm like,
airport? Like before the show started?
yeah.
Okay, do we want to jump that in now
It's
or will we come
hilarious.
back to that?
Yeah, yeah, right. No, I mean, we can come back to that, but it's just this space where, like, you know, there's these really big things, and I have so much to prove to myself. I like to do things that scare me, and so this show meant so much more over and above testing myself as a psychic medium that it actually helped put some of my experience from the concussion back into, like, put me back together too. So it's
Mm-hmm.
really cool. This show was a miracle for me on so many different levels. And so what you saw was me fighting to stay because I thought I just needed this one thing. I'm sitting in March of 2023 and I'm going, I am so sick and tired of everything that I've been in. I just want something really good for my soul. I just want something fun, please, for the love of God, can we have something nice happen?
Mm-hmm.
And then I got the audition for the show. And so it's like, okay, we're gonna go do this thing. Yay.
Yeah.
And I was a hot mess crying express. I cried puppet commercials. People didn't know what the hell to do with me. And here we are.
But like, how entertaining is that? How much fun is that? Like, we love to see that. Like, you want to see that as an audience. You don't want to see boring shit. Nobody wants to see somebody
Yeah.
just sit back and not do anything. Like, I want to see you lose your shit and cry and you know what I mean? Like, and gallop through the woods and
Yeah.
talk in mirrors. That was like the juice. That was beautiful.
Right? It's really funny. There's this thing that's happened after the show. And every couple few weeks I get this, oh my God, I just loved you on the show. You were such so funny and so hilarious. I'm like, oh, whether you're laughing at me or laughing with me, as long as you were laughing, thank you so much. That means the world, because there was a part of me, and I talked about this a while back, was that I this was a game. In
Mhm.
the end, this was a game. And there were moments where we didn't have to take the game so seriously. And just because I was out there leaping away and making moments for TV, if you thought that I was actually like, let's just
Yeah,
talk
yeah.
about it, right?
Like, come on.
And so there's this space that it's trying to remind other people, and I'm sorry, I'm not a cerebral, right? All the cerebrals like, I'm
You're,
calculating, doing all of this, and
yeah,
I'm like, oh, no, no, let's go have some fun. And
you're a
so
light.
yeah, and so people didn't think I was taking the game seriously, but
Hmm.
there's moves in there that people didn't even know that me and a couple others were behind, and it's like, we got you, because there's a thing that I do in my life that I don't. I've been sort of background acting for a while, and part of my recovery with this concussion was taking an acting class, and I
Mm.
happened to have taken it in April before going to the show. And what we learn is you play to your natural tendencies. My natural tendencies are I'm a goofball, I'm a klutz. People can't see me coming. They don't know what to do with me once they do see me coming. And so I just
Hold
kept
on,
that in
hold
the
on. Is that why I cried? You're like, is that was that my acting? Is that why I was crying so hard? Because it's my natural tendency.
sorry, we broke up for a minute, all that night. You say that
Oh,
again?
I was just gonna say because you said we play to our natural tendencies. Is that
Yeah.
why I cried? Because that's naturally what I do. That's my go-to. Oh, sorry. Continue, continue. But accurate.
No, but it's this thing. It's like this space where that made me laugh so hard. I didn't even know where we were talking about. Squirrel.
So what were some of the
Oh,
moves
it
that
was
you did make,
yeah. So
like behind the
I,
scenes?
yeah, so I knew that reality TV was coming for the Slay of the Newbies.
Hmm.
And so
And
in
by
the
that you
role,
mean like the reality stars, like the
so
celebrities
the
were
people that,
it was against
yeah,
like civilians, celebrities versus
yeah.
civilians. Yeah. Okay.
Once the numbers tipped with Dom going home, I'm like, well, there it is. Unless by some miracle we get our shit together, this isn't
Hmm.
going to happen. The writing's not on the wall. Someone in the celebrity world is possibly going to take this now with a couple of people.
Yeah.
And so some of us just slowly started picking away, knowing that was the case. They were going to pick at us. And so, like, Kevin, we love you, but there were a couple of us not knowing what we were going to do for a couple of votes, and it's like some people went home from that side because there were a few of us going, we don't know what we're going to do, but we had secretly talked about taking this one out and that one out as time went on because they were coming for us. And what order was it going to be? And here's when Kevin went.
So, okay, because even in the show, like Fierce was such a plot twist. Like that was a
Yes,
shock.
yes.
And then watching, and I mean, I'm watching from home as well because I was gone quite early. So
Yeah,
like, I watched all that in just shock. Kevin's eviction was my most satisfying episode to watch, but that was just the petty shit that we had between us. I will say for the record, me and Kevin are fine. Like we're not actual enemies, but
yeah,
I
yeah.
do enjoy our arc, I
The
guess, our
ribbing. Yes.
little, our enemy arc.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
he gets a kick out of it too. Like every time when we see each other, it's
Right,
like we
right.
just smile and laugh at like our feud, I guess.
Yeah.
But yeah, like when he
That's
went home, that seemed to be everybody at the table seemed to be surprised because I think what has happened. So did you guys have like a plan, like in a small group to say throw Kevin's name out, but then other people at the table ended up getting convinced by his actions? Is that what happened? And that's how you got the majority? That's so cool. I'm so jealous I
yeah,
wasn't there.
yeah. And that happened a couple times. And then it got down to the point where like it's survival of the fittest, and then you have to make the votes, or come and it's either going to be you or them. And I hated that because I
Mm,
was really hoping Trevon, Mel A, and I like we were like it was happening. And people were being really they were totally I just heart energy for those guys, those two.
yeah.
And it's a space where like it's coming, so you have to make these choices if you even want to try and get to this space because either they're going to take you out or you're going to take you out. And I feel like we had the advantage in some of this because they're on game.
Hmm.
The reason why I was able to move so cleverly, even though some people, like I told Javon, like I said, there was, and I can't remember, there was one other, Dom knew, but there's this space where you're just silently maneuvering through the space because there's a level of survival going on where you're going to do whatever you do. Like I had no idea there were even records for mediums. I had no people keep talking. I just knew as a gamer I wanted to go and do these things. So there were things strategically. Yes, I had to keep it quiet. Yes, I did share. I was very strategic about who I shared with. Like I didn't get caught in the game of sharing this traitor I'm looking at right there. And so in the end it's just a game. And so we have to make maneuvering. Did I want to send some people home? No. Did I want to send some people home? Oh yeah.
Yes. Okay, so
Right?
speaking of the game,
Yes.
in the very, very beginning,
Yes.
hang on, because I do have some questions from
Okay.
like fans. If you had to be selected as a traitor,
Yeah.
who would you have wanted to be your dream team of traitors? And
Mm.
like from day one, and
Yep.
who would have been your first murder? Like if you go back to what you knew on day one. So
Yeah.
not even
Yeah. So
talking about
not
like
even
what
just
you know
yeah.
now.
So I would have chose it me. I would have taken Fierce.
Fierce would have been a fun traitor.
Yeah. And then there was let's see. I would have taken Mike.
Yeah, he
I
was
would have
good.
taken Mike.
I was
Yeah, I would have taken Mike. I would have, yeah, made sure that Mike
when
was
I
on the team.
saw that Mike was a traitor, I was excited in a way because I didn't suspect him. Like I did have a little bit of a suspicion about Kuzi, and I was
Yeah,
excited and terrified to work with Kuzi.
yeah,
She scared me.
yeah.
She did. I was
He's
like, this girl's
terrifying.
going, she's gonna take me out. Which I was
Yeah.
totally wrong about. She was actually like, I was gunning for her more than she was gunning for me.
Yeah,
She was trying to be like the traitor team.
yeah,
And I was like, I don't think you're
yeah,
gonna keep me. But
yeah,
yeah, when I saw Mike, I remember being excited because he was so unsuspecting, which in hindsight is so stupid because like you want suspecting, but I was the suspected
yeah,
one. So
yeah,
anyway,
yeah.
so who would have been your first murder? Like first day, first impressions, if it was you and Mike and who else did you say?
Fierce.
Fierce.
Yeah.
Oh, Fierce is gonna kill
Uh,
me for
yeah.
not remembering. But yeah, if it was you three, who would be
Who's
your
fierce?
choice?
Who's
Yeah.
Pierce?
Who's Mike?
Who's Mike?
So good. So good.
So good.
Yeah.
And my first murder, gosh. Um,
And if you say me, I don't release this episode.
no,
No, I'm just
no,
kidding.
no, no, no. It would have been um okay, not knowing anybody, I caught the smart and Crystal right away. She probably would have been up for first consideration.
Yeah.
She's really, really, really smart, really, really clever. I probably would have taken her up first. I would have made everybody guess what the fuck
Yeah,
on
it would
top
have
of
been
it all.
super random. Yeah, because
Yeah,
I
yeah,
don't think a
yeah.
lot of people were thinking that way. Like I knew
No,
that she was really smart. I didn't realize that she had clocked me so early. So I wanted to team up with her. Like me and Crystal, we had a
yeah,
final two like on the boat. Like when we first met
yeah,
before traders were
yeah,
picked, everything, we were like,
yeah,
we're
yeah,
clicking really well. Like, let's just take it
yeah,
all the way. And then she found out I was a traitor and was like, gotta get rid of Mel B. And I was like, you should have kept me. Anyway, I'm not gonna get into
yeah.
that trauma. That is, we are past it. It is good. But
Right?
yeah, no, she was a really good. I was actually kind of sad watching the show, seeing when she got taken out because I think that she was a really smart player. I think that she could have done really well
Yeah,
in the end
yeah.
game for
That's
sure.
why she got taken out.
100%.
Yeah,
100%.
yeah,
Okay, so how did you not how did you get involved in traders? Because I know you can't really talk about it. You
yeah,
got an audition and you
yeah.
went through the
I
process.
did.
But
I did.
what had you applied for other reality shows? Because I remember when we were there, you had said that you were like a big fan of reality TV. So is this something that you had
Yeah.
been applying for a while? Like talk to me about it.
Yeah. So back in 2006, okay, actually it starts in 2015, and I just saw my Facebook memory card. Back in 2015, I thought it'd be really fun. I was no, actually it was 2000 and I was still back in camp, so 2011 maybe. I decided to go to the Dragon's Den to pitch for my own TV show because all the medium shows were out there, and I'm like, okay, cool. And I thought, I don't know, something really, whatever. I read one of the producers. And so I thought, okay, cool. I'm not going to get on the show, but I feel like blah, blah, blah. 5 years later, I got a thing in my inbox, and I got asked if I wanted to audition for Canada's Smartest Person on CBC because they wanted a psychic medium on the show.
I didn't know about the dragons. I knew about Canada's Smartest Person.
Yeah,
I didn't know that
yeah.
it started with an audition for dragons. This is so cool. Okay, keep going. I'll try
For
not to
gods,
interrupt.
right?
I'm excited.
Yeah, no, that's okay. And so that came around. I went there and placed top 10 out of 30 contestants in the show. I was ninth. And so I feel like once you set frequencies in motion, there are things that just happen that are beyond our space and time. And so
Mm-hmm.
I feel like those are the things that led to the opportunity to audition for the show, for
Mm-hmm.
Traitors. And so, like, I've been trying to get on the Amazing Race Canada since the beginning. I've tried a couple times with Big Brother Canada. After 3 times in the first few seasons, I'm like, nah, whatever, can't get on. And so it's in my blood. I like to watch the shows. I watch the drag races. Like, I love reality TV. I really, really do. So,
Okay. So
yeah.
if there was another show, like what's your top three that you would like to go in the future?
Amazing Race Canada. I would love to step on the beach of Survivor. Just the like just to step on the beach.
Yeah.
Don't care how far I go. Like you want to do the things. I'm not saying that. Step on the beach in front of Jeff Probst would be just incredible. Give me goosies. And then I just to try Big Brother Can just to see. I feel like um yeah, I don't have strong takes on that one, but I feel like so one of the things I've kind of put out there, wouldn't it be hilarious to become one of Canada's most gamingest humans? Just to throw that out there for fun.
That would be
So
really
I've been
fun.
on two. Let's
Yeah.
go.
Keep on going. Let's get a
Right?
trifecta.
Right? Yeah, because that's so I'm not opposed. Who knows? I love film and TV, so out there. And I'm kind of hoping that if traders were ever going to be an all stars moment, I'd love to go in now and really try it on for size because I
Hmm.
have to play an open game now.
Yeah. Oh yeah, you wouldn't be able to pretend that you
And
know,
I
you're not a
love
psychic, and
that.
you'd have to be
I
yourself.
love
Yeah,
that,
that would be
right?
really
And
cool.
so to see how quickly I'd get murdered or how long I would last or wouldn't last, like that'd be really, really cool.
That would be
So
interesting.
yeah, yeah. And other than that, like in other times I I do some film and TV stuff, so I'm always finding my way onto sets and meeting all sorts of cool people and doing some really cool things. So yeah, thanks for that
Well,
question.
you're welcome. I do have a couple more about the show. Um, so if you could hand select like the five people who would be at the end at that fire, if you could go back in time and you got to pick the four other people that you were at that fire with, who would you pick
Yep.
and why?
Okay. So Dom, 100%. You probably would have ended up there just because you're the advocate hammer. You would have traded us, and it would have been fucking hilarious. But like, if you hadn't have been a trader, you were one of the people that I saw myself at the end with.
So
Mel
funny.
A, Trevon, and Mickey. Like Mickey. So, yeah, like that's my there was is literally came after a story. Mike, you're a great guy, but you would have been out of the top five.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
Those are just the
and
people that
all
you had the
because
good energy
so
with.
yeah, so like Mel A, when we watch the show, you really see who Mel A is. Outstanding, upstanding light that had her like I learned about a new word in the game, but I all the teaching and all the unpacking of things I have to do in this planet, I'd never heard of confirmation bias before.
Okay.
And so this was a new term for me. And so unfortunately, like Mel A, the things that worked against her were the things and she's just she's an incredible soul. I just heart space. And Travon really, whether he understood me or not, he was there. And so like there's this energy that you carry and the people you want to vibe with and people could he was on it, just like I was in times. And we really understood
Mm-hmm.
that we had anxiety working against us. So I chose like I would love to have seen he's just this kind, really good-hearted human being who well dressed all the time, great stories. Like I learned a lot from Travon on the show, and people don't I don't think even he recognized the level of learning from him. And then you, because you and I were jiving and jamming and having the best freaking time in our little big energy, laughing away, paid our yeah, Donna, you're fucking broke and get that antenna wired, right? You dum dum. Yeah.
Oh, I
And
was
then
so
Mickey,
happy. I was like, I can't
yeah,
wait till after the show to tell her that I'm a traitor and be like, ha ha ha.
so good. It was so
Yeah.
good, right? And so, yeah, and it's just this space where, like, people look to be understood in life,
Mm-hmm.
and yet they don't seek to understand others. And so
Mm-hmm.
I always look for the place where I'm understood. And if I can't be understood, I'm accepted.
Exactly.
And so you find these little niches and like there is no hate on any cast member whatsoever. Things are done. It is over. I thank everybody for the teaching moments. They've given me tremendous gifts. I wish everybody nothing but the best. It's changed me and I'm forever grateful for it. And you've been a part of this journey. And listen, people, I'm just going to take this opportunity so that you understand, as I've said this to you time and time again, you are the glue to the cast. You are
So
the best on
funny.
the rock.
Yeah.
You are the heart of the cast. And
Donna.
and and it's the reason why we're still all hanging and chilling and doing some of these things is because of your energy. So I just want that really understood by folks out there listening, that you couldn't be listening to a cooler human being. Like, yeah, it's just you were the heartbeat in there.
You are so sweet. I don't always take to praise or, nice things. It's always awkward. It always feels uncomfortable for me. But I appreciate that so much. So for anybody, like just for a little bit of background information, and I think it's because after I got the boot very early on, I reached out immediately to Erica because she was my first kill, our first kill.
Yes.
And I didn't have Colin's contact information or Nazilla's contact information because they were quote unquote civilians. So I reached out to Erica on Instagram. I got her details, and then I passed my phone number to producers to pass along to Colin and Azilla. And then once I got them, basically I just gave the producers my contact details and was like, please give this to every single person as they go home and make sure they contact me. So as
Yeah.
people were getting eliminated, they were contacting me, and I just created this big like group chat just to keep the group together and to make sure that we could talk out anything we needed to talk out. Erica was actually a huge, huge help for me because the night I got
Yeah.
evicted, I get swept to a hotel immediately. Like, you have to leave the manor. It's not like, oh, we'll just keep her
Yeah.
in. You can talk behind the scenes. Like, they literally, like, you're not allowed to see a contestant because they don't want anything ruined. They really want to keep the integrity of the game alive. So once I got out, I was literally out. Like they drove me like 30 minutes away from the manor.
Hmm.
And I remember being in the hotel like 3 o'clock in the morning, like, well, what now? I couldn't sleep. And then the next day is when I was talking to Erica, and she was really like, if you want to unpack the show. I mean, I murdered her immediately. Immediately.
Yeah.
I met her and I
Yeah.
was like, this sweet like
Yeah.
woman, and I murdered her immediately. And then she was so forgiving and so kind. And she even said to me, she's like, if you want to unpack everything, she said, I know it's not easy. Like, these shows are hard. Like, she really
Jeez.
gave me a soft landing.
Love.
And then as everybody else was coming out, I wanted to make sure that they understood that, like, hey, sorry I was going to murder you eventually, but like, let's all be friends kind of thing. And I know different
Yeah.
personalities are always going to clash sometimes, but for the most part, I think our cast has a really good group
Yeah.
friendship, you
Yeah.
know? Yeah. So,
Yeah.
but thank you for saying that. I just wanted to
Yeah.
keep everything together. I wanted to be on some show for so long that I was like, I'll be damned if
Yeah.
I'm leaving at episode
Yeah.
3 and I'm not still friends with these people.
And I really understand that energy because
Mhm.
Canada's Smartest, like I know right now, if I ever went up on my way out to the Rock, there's not only you, but I'm still friends with one of the contestants that we were on the same show together. And this is the thing, some of these bonds are just forever bonded. And when you trauma bond, there's this thing that goes on, right? And so yeah, it's been tremendous. And that's the thing, like I really um Erica, I'm just going to speak to this because I get gobsmacked in surreal moments where it's like, oh yeah, this happened. And Erica and I and Zila and Leroy and Rick were in a vehicle together the first day.
Mhm.
And Erica and I got into this conversation. She's like, we're gonna have fun. Pinky swear, pinky swear. And this is the thing, if anybody knew about what was just a game and how messy it can get and how we got to remember that it's just a game, it's that one. Erica,
Oh,
you're
big time.
just another soul. she's
She's a
she's a
light.
tremendous force, yeah, like a
Yeah.
hundred percent.
Yeah. She's a
So
light.
yeah, and so there we are, that's the space. And you know I am forever grateful. I want to thank you for having me on the podcast. It's just been, I love, anytime I get a chance to see your face is just a delightful moment in my life.
I was
Um,
so excited when I saw you when we opened up.
Great. And so, yeah, like there's, and thank you for getting to know me behind all of that. I really appreciate that. That's good stuff because people don't get a chance. Like they only see this one thing about you or possibly this thing, and we all deserve to be seen. This is just, it's what I do. It's not who I am,
Absolutely.
right? And so
Thank you
we're
for
getting
coming on.
yeah, it's my honor. Thank you.
Yes. All right. Well, it won't be the last time. We'll definitely have you on again. And then we could probably dive a little bit more into some of your psychic abilities and what you do. Until then, though, for now, how about we just explain to people maybe how they can get in touch with you, what services you might offer, where can people find you to follow you, that kind of thing.
Yeah, yeah. So on Instagram and Facebook, I'm at Heart and Souls, HARTT, and Souls, AND Souls, SOULS. And then on TikTok, I'm Donna is a Heart, HARTT. And so I try and share them on all the platforms. That's where you can find me. The services that I offer as a psychic, I see things that have happened, things that are happening, and things that can and do happen. As a medium, I'm able to connect with loved ones over on the other side. And then I host group readings, group teachings, conversations, talks, yeah, public speaking. So that's where you can find me, and happy one is glad to be of service.
And just for the record, so people can DM you like through
Yes,
TikTok or
through
Instagram if they want to
TikTok,
get a
through
service.
Instagram, through Facebook. Yeah, sorry about that. Yeah. And I mean, I do have Heart and Souls, HARTTN souls at gmail.com for emails. But the
Okay.
fastest way to get to me is right through my Instas and
Through
my
social media.
yeah, socials,
Yeah.
through my socials.
And do you do those readings and stuff like, oh, hang on, I think we've got froze. There you go.
There we go.
So do you do readings and everything that can be done online as well? You don't need to physically be in the room with a
Yeah,
person?
thanks for asking the question. I love to see people in person, but we're
Mhm.
exchanging energy right now. So phone, video, in person.
Perfect. All right, Donna. Well, thanks for coming on the show. Anytime you want to come back, let me know. Maybe, you know what I've been
Yeah,
thinking actually, because Big Brother Canada is starting up soon. That's my dopamine fix for the winter.
right.
So, in the past, I have done recap episodes of that on a previous podcast that I did. It's not out of the realm of possibility for this season. I may just jump on every now and again, just talk about my thoughts on the show.
Yeah.
Maybe you'll have to come on one episode and we can just like dive in and like have a
Yes.
little
Yeah.
gossip fest. Yeah. Okay. All
Awesome.
right. Well, everybody
Right.
else, you can follow me at Best on the Rock, Best on the Rock, DAROCK, on TikTok and Instagram under the same name. On Twitter, I'm Melissa Agent 21. And you can actually email me. That's something I don't think I've ever said on this podcast before, but I do have a specific podcast email, which is bestontherock@gmail.com. So anyway, you want to reach out, DM me, send me an email, and anything you want to hear or somebody you want me to interview, let me know because I'm just having a blast with this stuff. So
Yeah.
anyway, thank you for listening. And until next time, bye.